Your teen thinks you're controlling. Here's what to do. I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting, good communication, how to build strong family bonds, child development, and education, all through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we're talking about how to give the teens a different impression. In this video, we're going to talk about common conflicts that create trouble in the relationship between parent and teen and show that the teens think that you're being kind of controlling and why they get to that place. And then we're going to talk about a mindset shift that you can have that can make all the difference in the way that you interact with your teens. And I'm going to give you some skills that you can also do to start shaping those communications differently. So many teens think at one point or another, why do I have to follow your rules? Like, who are you versus me? Now, why do they start thinking that? Well, it's because their prefrontal cortexes are developing, especially during puberty, okay? When a teen is in puberty, there are chemicals that are rushing through the body. There are hormones that are growing not only muscles, not only their sexual organs, but also those hormones are growing the brain. And their brain is growing fast. They're picking up on more, things are making more sense, they're problem solving better. They start feeling pretty grown up. And so they don't want you telling them every little thing to do anymore. And as soon as you start telling them every single thing to do, they start feeling like that's condescending, that you're being babyish to them. They don't want to feel that. That's really where they're at. Sometimes teens might also not want to listen to you or think you're controlling because you don't take the time to understand them. Maybe there's not enough communication that's happening. Maybe you seem closed-minded to them instead of open-minded. Now, open-minded does not mean you have to affirm them or agree with them, okay? Open-minded just means that you need to take the time to listen, okay? You need to go, oh, that's where you're coming from. So how do we fit that in when they're being belligerent maybe, disrespectful, ignoring? How do we get to a place of, okay, I'll understand you, but could you treat me with a little bit of respect first? Hopefully we can get ourselves to that place. Now, before we go there, I just want to talk about reframing something in our minds. A lot of people think that whoever the leader is the one that has the control. And there's a reason why we think that. This type of a mindset is left over from the monarch type system that most of the world has lived through or even is still living through, possibly, where the people don't have much of a say. Whoever's in charge, they make the rules, that's it. And we see that when people get into power, they start to act a little bit like monarchs. Even if they're not supposed to, it happens. So there has to be some checks and balances in place to rein them in so that they don't get to just control everything all the time. And this could be people at an office, people in a government position, people in a neighborhood, people in a family. Friend groups even could have this problem where one person starts to dominate. People love leaders. They like to find good leaders and look up to leaders, but people don't like being controlled and dominated. They like being taught, they like being respected, and they like rubbing shoulders with people who are doing things. But once you cross over the line of control, you lose respect. So please keep in mind that leadership does not equal control. When a person is coming to you because they think you're a leader, it's actually because they think you're going to teach them and not control them. Did you know that? Even though you have a teen whose brain is growing fast and they think they know everything, they actually are still craving hooking some of those dots together in their brain. They're craving learning, and more than anything, they're craving a relationship with you. So you need to make sure that you're there for them and that you do give them that relationship that they need. The book that I'm probably the most known for is a book called Parenting a House United. And when I wrote that book, I thought that people understood who they were to each other and their roles and relationships, especially within the family. But after talking to people for a number of years, I realized I was wrong. So I wrote this book here called Roles: The Secret to Family, Business, and Social Success. And it's a story of a family. They have 4 children, and they're all ages 8 to 18. And in this story, they have a hard time with the children being on the same page with them. They won't help out, they don't open up, they ignore their parents sometimes, they argue with their parents, they whine and complain. There's lots of things that are going on, and the parents aren't on the same page with their parenting, and so they struggle to keep anything going in a forward direction in the family, and everyone's frustrated a lot. You see them go through this process of getting their roles in the right place. They have meetings with their children, one-on-one meetings, where they talk about roles. And roles aren't just responsibilities like who goes to work or who makes the pancakes in the morning, because those are just responsibilities. Anyone can do those things. But a role is different. It's who you are to another person. And they talk about this with their children, and then their children get the idea, oh, yeah, that's true. If we don't keep those things in the right place, none of us turn out right. We need to make a change. So in an effort to create an environment where they get their roles in the right place, then they start learning a lot of the skills and principles of self-government as well, which is, this whole channel is called the Teaching Self-Government channel. That's what it's all about, learning the skills and principles of self-government. But I highly recommend having those types of conversations with your teens. And if they sit there and they won't talk to you and they're awkwardly silent for a while, that's okay. Do what the parents did, though. Don't necessarily have the conversation at home. There are sometimes better places to have a conversation that somebody might resist having with you than at home. So go through that process and get on the same page as if you can with your teenager about why you're doing what you're doing. And then start learning, okay, so let's learn together. How are we going to communicate? What skills do we need to have that type of relationship that we're hoping to have that is based upon those roles so that we can be completely functional? So after you have that conversation and get on the same page with your children or your child, then you can talk with them about what you want it to feel like at home. So what does it need to feel here if we are going to have that type of relationship? What is it going to be like? It's probably going to feel calm, understanding, comfortable, unified. You fill in the words that fit for you guys, but have that conversation and then say, okay, so we've got to work on our calmness. How are we going to solve problems and be calm too? And this is where it really comes in. If you want your child to respect you and not think you're controlling, then you need to focus on controlling yourself more than controlling them. It's hard to hear, isn't it? But we all want to just emotionally control everybody around us. But if we're really going to be powerful, then we need to say, no, emotions aren't leading this, and I am going to assess what I need to be thinking and doing within myself. Maybe I'm thinking the wrong thing. Maybe this thought is trapping me and I'm getting overly emotional, or I'm stuffing things when I can just learn a skill like how to accept a no answer about somebody else's behavior, and I can think something productive and drop the subject. And then I can be prepared to teach them and be calm as I'm teaching them. That is possible, That's actually what all of this is about, is being able to determine ahead of time what you want to think and how you want to behave and how you want to interact and bond with other people. And if you can be calm, then when they're not calm, you actually can really help them. If you also teach them ahead of time exactly how you will parent them and correct them, and then you just follow through with all of it, you'll also be able to help them more. Now, there's something else I'd like to just briefly touch on. And sadly, I don't have a ton of time to touch on it, but this idea of when a teen grows older and we're trying to launch them into an adult, they do need to take on a little bit more responsibility. Could it be that you're actually, because you're trying to control them, taking on too much responsibility? They need to take on some responsibility for some things. Bit by bit, you transition some of that responsibility to them. Once they learn the 4 basic skills of self-government in my family, which are following instructions, accepting no answers and criticism, accepting consequences, and disagreeing appropriately, once they learn those 4 things, then I start to transition them to taking more responsibility for more things. That's the way that we help them launch. And when they see themselves growing, they have meetings with you, which I can train you on how to do. They have those meetings with you. They make plans for themselves. They follow through. They know you're not controlling. They know you're helping. Things change then. In the next video, I'll show you how to maintain strong boundaries while helping your teen develop identity and purpose. Click on the link to the video, How to Stay Connected to Your Teen and Still Set Boundaries, next.